budget, deficit with $8 million and then having to borrow 4 or 5 million, no, 7 million more this year. Right?
Nice.
So we can, and where you get the money. If the council wants it, should prove where you can get the money. If the mayor's sitting there saying, I ain't got the money, and you say he has, show where these hidden funds are. Especially since the council cut the customer service line by $240,000. And then they added $58,000 to they don't want to cut their budget. Where are all these mysterious funds? Because if you got it, I want to cut my taxes. Okay? I'm sorry, but nobody's making sense. Over here, we've been discussing this. If you've got a plan, introduce it.
Got an $8 million grant in place.
Mr. Delo.
Yes. Directly to your question, it has often been stated that bringing back ALS would increase the city's revenues by approximately anywhere from $1 million to $1.5 million a year. That's an increase of $1.5 to $1 million a year. Now, whatever the incidentals, the price of tires or batteries or gasoline is aside, that is still a number that the mayor at one point said the best we could expect would be $700,000. That's $700,000 as opposed to $24,000 if we turn our fire stations into motels and storage units for the proposed for the
Health
lease that was previously proposed.
Okay, but how much does it cost to operate the emergency services?
Well,
How much does it cost per year? If we're talking about,
1 million.
you're talking about what you get.
Okay. That
How
1
much
million.
does it
Let
cost?
me answer the question.
Okay.
That we already have the firefighters and the EMS personnel paid for by the SAFER grant. So we have no personnel costs. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What we have are incidental costs, and if at $1 million, the mayor said that the best we could hope for would be a $700,000 increase to our revenue stream. That's 700 he's admitted to at $1 million. Now, it has been suggested that the best we could ever collect was 65% of the money that was owed us for transport. I can tell you that the amount of time that was spent trying to collect that money in the previous 4 years before it was shut down was not the kind of thing you would spend if you were involved in a business. If somebody owed you money and you were looking at losing 65%, I'm pretty sure that you, like I, would go about the business of getting that money back, as much of it as we could.
Mr. Delo, I hate to tell you this, but I've been sued by people wanting to collect money for the very thing you're talking about. When I didn't have insurance, when I was having a heart problem, they didn't mind billing me for $500. I called, when that collection agency called, I said, well, come and get it.
There is always the concept of forgiveness. And we've done that time and time again. We have to collect what we can collect.
Okay, the best
there are
thing.
people who can't afford it.
Okay, the best
And
thing.
that's the write-off.
So let's round this off to, okay, 2 weeks ago at the last council meeting, I asked for the city or the council, somebody to do a comparison about how many runs Healthlink ran, and use that as a basis of what money they collected, and say, okay, if our services were working, then we would have received this money for the city. There's, that's a comparison, that's something you can look at that's actual, because you can get the numbers. There's no secret hidden agenda that
That
you say,
calculation
okay,
has
offering
nothing.
plan, 800 trips. Okay, the city runs 800 trips, we collect 65% on that, and this is the money we have to work with. We have the safer grant for 2 years. After 2 years, we have to lay the fire department up, the people off again, if we don't have increased tax revenue, or if we can't get another safer grant.
That's absolutely true.
I mean, I'm looking at it as you may be delaying something that's going to eventually happen. But if you can work it out, that it's, you can see the difference, then fine, do it.
That's exactly the intent of this motion, Brian. The idea is that we open the stations, we provide as much protection as we possibly can to our citizens. If at some point in the future, we can extend that, or get an extension on the safer grant, then we get it a little longer. And eventually, maybe we get to a point in the city where we have enough money so that we can take care of it ourselves. But the idea that we should leave those stations unopened, and I don't mean populated by a private company, that we should leave those stations unopened while we have people dying in the city. We had 3 deaths in the last year in 1 square mile of the city that were fire related.
What was that, sir? Can you comment on that? Where?
The one on Marvin, the
The explosion?
what?
The explosion?
Trailer park?
Is that what they're referring to, Marvin?
No, that was a fire.
The house trailer.
The firehouse fire and the trailer. So when we have that kind of thing happening in the city, that could have been avoided. Remember, the fire station 2 was about a minute away from the woman that died in that trailer, as opposed to the 6 or 7 minutes that it took for the fire truck to get from Goddard Road Station down to that location. Now, that's what I'm concerned about. I want the people of this town to be as safe as I possibly can. I want to assist them in being as safe as I possibly can. And the idea that I'm going to do this for whatever reason is not the case. This is my only goal: fire safety for the people in this town. 1 station, 24 square miles, 65,000 people, protected by 1 station, and what we can get from mutual aid. And understanding the mutual aid is already getting up to about here with the calls that they get. So the idea, that's the reason I asked the mayor why when we would open the station. And the answer I got was just a variation on, we have to wait until we get the tone system fixed. 2, 3 months later, we have to wait until we figure out how we're going to pay for the utilities. 2 or 3 weeks later, it's something else. Well, it's time for this to stop. It's time for the citizens of this town to be as fully protected as the city's treasury, combined with the safer grant, can make it. And that's all this is about.